When I say Megaman, some of you would think of Megaman, the little blue robot guy in the platforming games. Some of you may think of we're not talking about that one. For myself, and a lot of you, our first experience with Megaman was Megaman Battle Network. Back in the late 90s, Capcom Production Studio 2 was originally working on a horror game, inspired by Resident Evil. But at the time, the popular trend was card games. Wanting to capitalize on the hype, the project got scrapped, and the team started working on a new project that had card collecting elements. The developers wanted to make a game that you could not beat with just brute force. So the kids who are great at action games needed to learn to strategize, while the kids not good at action games are given a chance to shine. Megaman was created in the late 80s. At the time, the future of technology was robots. So Studio 2 decided to make their own adaptation based on the future technology of the late 90s and the early 2000s. A Megaman based on the internet. And that's how they came up with Megaman Battle Network. In this iteration of Megaman, it takes place in a completely separate universe than the other games. It's the year 2000X, and almost everything connects to the internet. Imagine the concept of a smart fridge, but everywhere. With everything running off the net, people eventually needed assistant programs to help them navigate it. And these programs were called Net Navies, or just Navies. Think of it like Siri or Bixby. Who even uses that? But cranked up to 20. Navies are also sentient or semi-sentient. Each of them are unique and complement the user's personality. So you can ask them for weather updates, set alarms, or ask them what to do if a dolphin wants to mate with you. Net Navi users are called operators. Operators keep their navies in their personal terminals, abbreviated as PETs. You know, like a pet. The current PET we're using for this game and the next is basically a big flip phone on a stick. Or a laptop on a stick. With PETs, you can connect to cars, GameCubes, and even squirrels. If you went on some no-no sites and got some viruses, you just plug in your NetNavi and have them deal with it. That's what it's called in the Japanese games, by the way. Plugging in. Here, we jack in with our NetNavis. So let's grab our PETs, load up our battle chips, and jack in. We play as 11-year-old Lan Hikari, and we're waken up by our NetNavi, Megaman. He reads us our email, and we learn about the rising crime from cybercriminal group World 3 and their plan to take over the internet. We grab our PET, say good morning to our mom, eat breakfast, and head to school. You can also choose to completely ignore her, if you hate her. As we leave the house, we're introduced to Meilu, or male. I know it's supposed to sound like male for email, but in the anime, her name is pronounced as Meilu, so I'm just gonna call her that. Her Navi is Roll. Roll's main ability is healing, and like her operator, she's very kind and caring. I remember Meilu was one of my 2 cartoon crushes when I was a kid, the other being Arika from Metabots. Lan asks why Meilu always waits for him to go to school, and she tells Lan it's because they have so much to talk about. Megaman secretly tells us it's more like she has a lot to talk about. Lan!
Look what you did, she won't shut up.
That's normal, just nod your head and say, uh-huh.
Megaman's a freaking savage. Meilu asks if we've heard of all the ovens combusting recently, and that it must be another World 3 virus. Lan tells Meilu that she's just imagining things, and we head to class. In class, we are introduced to the rest of our friend group. First, let's talk about Dex. He's a big boy, a big personality, and a bit cocky and overconfident too. I mean, you would have to be to get this haircut. Look, this kid agrees with me. He's a rival in more ways than one. Not only does he net battle us every chance he gets, but he's also interested in Meilu. So he always ends up getting cucked by Lan, one way or another. His Navi is Gutsman. Gutsman mirrors Dex pretty well. He's mostly brawn over brain. Big and strong, but slow on moving and thinking. Gutsman is also interested in Roll. Then we have Yai. She's tiny in stature, but big in money. Coming from money, she's pretty spoiled and disrespectful sometimes. The only thing I remember about her in the anime was that she loves drinking strawberry milk. Her Navi Glide is basically a virtual butler. Like her operator, he low-key looks down on the lower class. Despite all their personality flaws, Lan, Meilu, Dex, and Yai are all good friends. And the same could be said about their Navis. Some of our classmates mentioned their ovens spitting out flames too. Dex challenges us to a net battle, but we're saved by the bell. Our first lesson is virus busting. Here, we're introduced to our first combat scenario, so I might as well get all the battle mechanics out of the way. First, let's talk about battle chips. This is where the card collecting aspects of the game come in. Battle chips are what the operators use on their net navis to assist them, like offensive chips, defensive chips, support chips, and special navi chips. Your folder is basically like your deck. It can hold 30 chips at a time, and when you use all 30 in battle, it just loops. Each chip has a letter and name. You can use chips with matching names or matching letters, kind of like the colors and numbers in Uno. Every 10 seconds, you can download more chips. And if your current hand sucks, you can risk another 10 seconds to get more chips. The game starts you off with 30 chips, but you can find more by exploring the real world or the net. Like earlier, when Lan chose to eat breakfast, he found a chip under his plate. The main way of getting chips would be from virus busting, but chips could also be bought from shops. The battles start out in a 6x3 grid. You have 9 squares on your side, and they have 9 squares on theirs. You can steal squares with certain battle chips, and they can do the same to yours. Aside from stealing squares, they can also be cracked or broken. They come back after 15 seconds though. If you have no battle chips, there's always Mega Man's handy Mega Buster. It starts off pretty ass though, doing 1 damage per shot, and you can shoot like twice a second. So it's not that handy yet, but as you upgrade it, it eventually becomes more reliable than battle chips. You can buy and find upgrades for Mega Man throughout the game, raising his max HP to 1000 and being able to individually upgrade the Mega Buster's damage, charged shot, and speed. I made the mistake of getting charged shot first, but that was a regretty spaghetti. As the name suggests, you charge up your Mega Buster and shoot a blast that multiplies your damage by 8. The thing is, I could have shot 8 times by the time I was done charging. The ideal upgrade order would be to max out your damage first, then your charged shot, then speed. For speed, I thought I was pretty smart when I figured this one out. There's an exploit during battles that you can take advantage of. If you move while shooting, you shoot a lot faster. Upon further investigation, apparently everyone knows about this, so I guess I'm not that smart. There's also an element system. The usual electricity shocks water, water douses fire, fire burns wood, and wood. How the hell does wood beat electricity? I guess it's like non-conductive. I don't know. Along with that, there's an armor system too. You can equip elemental armor, changing what damages you more or less depending on the element. And that's basically it for net battles. Holy crap, that was a lot. There is one more thing though, but it's a bit advanced for now. I'll talk about it a bit more later. After class, Dex challenges us to a 1v1 on Rust snipers only. This is basically the first boss fight, but it's pretty easy. We delete Gutsman and that's it. Wait, how come when Mega Man gets deleted, it's game over, but Gutsman gets it back up? Why can't we back up Mega Man? We head home and our mom lets us know that there's a guy checking for viruses in the house, since there's been so many cases of oven fires lately. Yeah, I definitely trust the guy with the flaming red hair. Our mom tells us to go to our room. In our room, Lan and Mega Man decide to hop on the net. This is the net. Instead of being like a web, the game's interpretation of the internet is this labyrinth. Basically, every time we jack into the net from anywhere, it's gonna look like this. I wish the game had a map or something. I guarantee you will lose count of how many times you get lost. Now that we're on the net, I might as well break down the exploration mechanics. Around the corners of the net, you can find green, blue, or purple data shards. They contain things like battle chips, zennies, which is the game's currency, and sometimes power-ups. Like in Pokemon, there are random encounters in this game. You know, the best kind of encounters. Don't you love getting into a battle, taking 4 steps, and getting into another battle? Say in Pokemon, if you bump into the same Zubat you've knocked out in the cave like, for the 12th time, and the Zubat keeps coming back for more, you have the option to run.
Stay down. Final warning. I could do this all day.
It'll probably keep pestering you unless you use Repel, but at least you can run away. Here, Running away is a battle chip. You know, the ones that come in random orders every battle. Yeah, those ones. At the very least, your HP goes back to full after every battle. So, combine constant random encounters and an unreliable method of running away, that's a recipe for a good time. Speaking of running in Pokemon, you can hold B to run, and this came out a year before Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. I don't know which game was the first game ever to have B to run, but Mega Man did it before Pokemon, so I thought that was pretty cool. By the way, it's so satisfying when you land a sword hit on these dashing guys. The other aspects of the exploration mechanics are to do with the shoulder buttons. You press L, and Mega Man or Lan will give you a hint of what to do. And you press R to jack in or jack out. I don't know about you guys, but back in the day, the R button on my Game Boy Advanced SP was pretty janky. So, it made playing the Battle Network games a living hell. Jacking in and out is pretty damn important in these games. So, imagine having to ram the R button into a wall, or squeezing it with all your strength just to jack in. That's pretty much all there is to exploration for now, so let's jack out and see how things are going downstairs. Before we can head down, our mom can be heard screaming. Can you guess what happened? Heading downstairs, we see our oven on fire. Lan thinks it's a virus and jacks into it. I hope the PET cable is fireproof. If it melts with Mega Man in the oven, we're pretty screwed. We jack in. And here, we're introduced to our first dungeon. The puzzle is pretty simple. There are literal firewalls blocking the way. We need an ice block program to put out the flames. Mega Man has figured out that these aren't ordinary viruses, and that they have a World 3 signature. We get ready for a battle, and it's just a mid-tool. What? That's what they were hyping up? There, done. We find the ice block program. It can only be used on 7 fires before it needs to be recharged. If you recharge it, all the flames that have been put out before will come back. There are items blocked off by the flames, but if you aim for the items, you will have to go back and recharge. Heading back where we came, Mega Man gets blasted by flames. The repairman from earlier calls us and reveals that he's the one behind all the oven fires, and he's a part of World 3. I don't know why he told us that. Lan grabs a water gun to suppress the flames. Wait, he had the time to fill a water gun with water? Wouldn't it have been faster if he just grabbed a bowl or something? He was in the kitchen. Holy crap, never mind, that's like a mini hose. That apparently put out some firewalls in the oven too. At the end of the dungeon, we meet the official first boss, Fireman. And he tells us that his operator's name is Mr. Match. These guys are like Team Rocket or something. They can't help but leak everything. It's playing the boss music! Throughout the fight, it's pretty evident that Fireman's not even aiming at us. He just kinda randomly shoots fire. He is the first boss though, so honestly, it's more like the end of the tutorial test. I thought this detail was funny as hell. If you look at Mega Man's Mega Buster, it's actually aimed at Fireman's balls. And this guy didn't land a single hit on me. Oh shit, I got an S? I'm not the best at the game, so that's pretty awesome. Let's see what it drops. What? Is there no Fireman chip? I'm pretty disappointed. Mr. Match then announces that, regardless of the deletion of Fireman, his mission is still a success. He found the program he was looking for in our oven. What? Was the program specifically in our oven? And he was just searching house to house this whole time? I guess we'll find out when they monologue the whole plan to us. I'm pretty sure they're gonna end up doing that, since these two have leaked so much information to us already. After he hangs up on us, Lan is starving. The whole reason why we even came down earlier was because he was looking for food. His mom explains that she did make food, but it was in the oven. Now she's too tired to make more. I thought that was pretty funny and wholesome, in a sad way. Now we can either go sleep or explore the town a bit more. So let's visit our friends' houses. We head to Meilu's house, which is right next door to ours. The first thing she says to us is not to peek in her room. So let's go peek in her room. Jack in? More like jackpot. We install a backdoor into our PC, then head out. While exploring, the one detail I love is that the cars stop for you while you run in the streets. They didn't even have to make the streets accessible, but they did. Next, let's go visit Dex. It looks like he lives alone or something. Pretty weird for a 5th grader. Now that I think about it, our friends don't have parents, and our parents don't have a room. We found Meilu's stash earlier. Let's see if we can find Dex's. We found some, In his GameCube, I found this virus that's absolutely bullshit. I don't know if I just suck balls or something, but look at this. He moves as soon as we're in front of him. Using anything other than the Mega Buster would take too long. And he teleports in front of you and licks you. And watch this. What? He dodged the sword and countered it by licking Megaman in his... Who designed this? Someone tell me how you actually beat this guy without using a Navi chip. Holy crap, that was bad. We install a backdoor into his PC and leave. Last, let's head up Yai's house. Next to her house, there's a girl saying how jealous of Yai she is. However, she would want to keep her own parents. So I guess Yai does live alone, and her parents are busy being rich somewhere else. If you talk to Yai, she just spews some exposition stuff about PETs. Come to think of it, she did the same thing in class earlier too. If it happens again, I'm assuming making her tell us all the lore is just a running gag. Ironically, her house has no stash for us to find. And Glide already gave us access to her PC, so there's nothing to do but sleep. We fast forward a few weeks, and we are treated to some foreshadowing of our next villain. He kinda looks like Tai from Digimon. Lan's running late for class again, and we get an email from Yai that she called our name for us for attendance. We get to class, and Lan sneaks to his desk. Wait, isn't his desk in the front of the class? That's some solid snake level of sneaking. We're introduced to a new teacher, Mr. Higsby, who has the same silhouette as the villain we saw earlier. And yeah, he has the same hairstyle as Tai. Let's see what crime this guy ends up committing. After homeroom, we talk to Yai again. And more exposition. Yeah, I'm guessing this is gonna be a running gag. I feel like it's a wasted opportunity not having her mention that we owe her. Mr. Higsby comes back in and tells us that Miss Mari, our usual teacher, is not feeling well. He then quickly jacks into the blackboard, then runs out. The doors lock, and the head of World 3, Dr. Wily, tries to brainwash us into joining them. It seems like the plan this time is to indoctrinate little kids into joining a terrorist group. Holy crap, this game doesn't mess around. First arson, now grooming. Dex tries being the hero, and Gutsman gets deleted. Good thing he has a backup. Once again, why can't Megaman have a backup? Meilu gives us our first Navi chip. Most Navi chips are just screen nukes. The roll chip, however, attacks one virus and then heals you, so it's a pretty good chip. We jack into the blackboard to deal with whatever virus Higsby uploaded. Here, we get into the second dungeon, the school blackboard. Glide's here too, so even though we are doing everything, seeing Dex try and Glide being where the danger is makes it feel like they aren't just standing around. We bump into this ghost virus again. This time, we're lucky enough that they are in the front, so we can just wide sword them. Oh, thank God. I guess that strategy would be, pray you get 2 steel chips, then a wide sword. The puzzles in this dungeon are pretty clever. It asks questions that would make Lan have to run around the school to get answers. Realistically speaking, Higsby didn't need to give us hints, but gameplay-wise, it's pretty creative. The first hint is the number of desks in our classroom. We count 9 and the door unlocks. By the way, this song is pretty sick. It remixes the main theme into something new. The next hint is the number of volumes there are for History of the World. We run to the library and find out that there are 30. The door unlocks and we move on. The next password is just guessing the correct number. If it's wrong, it'll tell you which digit is higher or lower. We get 5 tries, I think. It's not as fun as the other passwords, but it gets the brain working. We bump into the next door and we have to count how many doors there are in the school. Okay, 5 upstairs, these count as 2, right? If so, 9 downstairs? So 14. Let's see. Bruh. Okay, I think I forgot to count this door, so 15? There we go. I swear I'm not stupid. Oh no, it's the ghost again. Oh, hell yeah. You know what's worse than 1 ghost? 2. For the last password, we need Miss Mari's ID card, so time to find her. We find her tied up in the storage room. I like how it gives us the option to not free her. We free her, get her ID, and get the door open. Here, we're introduced to Number Man, Higsby's Navi. Higsby tells us that he's working for World 3 just to get money to buy more battle chips. That's like joining ISIS to buy Pokemon cards. He's pretty easy too. He just throws things at you, and you shoot them to break them. He doesn't move or anything. I got hit only one time, and I think it was kind of bullshit. We delete Numberman, and Higsby immediately breaks down. This line of dialogue made me chuckle. He 180'd so fast. In the end, Lan saves the day, and we have to go right back to class. Really? There was a terrorist attack just now. After class, Megaman suggests that we go take the metro and visit our dad at work. At the train station, apparently a virus got into the train system and somehow caused a landslide. We decide to go home and investigate. What the hell is this poster? We go home, jack in, and apparently to reach the next area, we need permission from Dex. That's crazy! Imagine if you can't go on YouTube because your neighbor hates you. As soon as we leave the house, Dex wants a rematch, so we head over to his place. His upgraded Gutsman has a bit more HP, but the same tactics as last time as well. We delete Gutsman again, and get permission from Dex for the next area. He also kind of accepts his fate that we'll always beat him, so he gives us a Gutsman chip. It's a screen nuke that cracks every square and does 40 damage to everything. We now have access to the second area of the net, which looks exactly the same. Holy crap, never mind. This area might look the same, but it's a maze with multiple levels. There are at least 4 or 5 ramps going up and down. There are a few new enemies, but they're pretty simple. There's this one mine guy that randomly plants a mine on one of your squares. I try to kill him first, so we wouldn't have to deal with that. But on the off chance the virus plants a mine, you just have to have good eyes. The last square you see the mine on is where it's buried. Another annoying enemy are these Pac-Man cannon guys. You can only hit them while they are firing, which is like once every 10 seconds. At the end of the area, we meet the Navi that caused the landslide. Stone Man. He doesn't even look human enough to be a man though. In the fight, he's kinda like Numberman. He just stands there and throws crap at you. A lot of times, if you don't move, you're safe. He does put the stone block on one of your squares though, and it obscures the view of where he may drop rocks on you. I think he has another phase where he just stands there and summons lasers, but I didn't see it this encounter. He died so fast. We delete him and fix the train system. He literally just put a rock on a virtual train track, and that somehow caused a landslide. With the train fixed, we head to the metro station. One really annoying thing is you have to buy a ticket to where you want to go every time. One for the trip there, and one for the trip back. You can't just go straight to the gate. It's realistic, but I feel like this is a part of the game that shouldn't be realistic. We finally get to the Sci Lab. While walking around, we meet Sal. She likes nature and, us apparently. Looks like Meilu's got some competition. She offers to net battle us, so let's see how this goes. Her net navi is Woodman. He's kinda like Stone Man. His attacks hit 3 random squares. A lot of times, if you don't move, you're safe. But I do move, so I'm not safe. This fight feels like it was supposed to be very easy. But because I kept moving when I shouldn't have, I took a ton of damage. After beating Sal, she gives us access to our first armor. On my way to retrieve the armor, we get into this really bullshit battle. This Spider-Man pinecone thing shoots logs straight at you that you have to sidestep. That's easy to deal with, until this cloud guy takes up 6 of your 9 squares with 2 rain clouds. That's insane! Whoever made this combination is sadistic. There are only 2 safe squares when the wood flies at you. We bump into Stone Man again, and he has 700 HP this time. Things got pretty close, but we delete him and get his chip this time. It's another screen nuke, and it hits 3 squares 3 times at random. The shop sells the wood armor for 15,000 zennies. Oh god. Honestly, I don't even know why I wanted this. I don't think we're fighting anything electric type anytime soon. At least we're prepared for it though. Now we can finally see our dad. I got sidetracked so hard trying to get this armor. We head up to his office and it seems like he's not here at the moment. So we jack into his PC to see if the power-up he talked about is there. While looking around our dad's PC, we bump into this mouse virus. And holy crap. Remember those ghosts? They can only move side to side. These mice? They can move to any square possible, completely at random. You need to guess where they would be, since your battleships would take too long to use and they just move by then. We find out the power-up isn't here either, so Lan leaves a message and we head home. Leaving the train station, we get an email from our dad. He was busy when we got there and apologizes. However, he sent the power-up over email. We did stop 2 terrorist attacks today, so let's go home and sleep. A month later, we get ready for Saturday school. What the hell is Saturday school? I know Sunday school exists, but this is my first time hearing about Saturday school. Heading downstairs, our mom informs us that there's no water in the house, so no breakfast. It seems like Lan's mom is always starving him. Meilu's waiting for us to walk to school again. While heading to class, she asks if our house had running water. It appears that she didn't have water in her house either. At the school, the fountain, usually flowing with water, is completely dry. I'm pretty sure this is World 3 again. Upstairs, we bump into a kid that asks if we know where the toilet is. He lets us know that it's hidden next to the stairs and we can't see it. It's out of water though, so we can't use it either. I think this is just a funny explanation of things we don't see. Like how it looks like our parents don't have a room, but it's probably just hidden behind a corner and we can't see it. We battle Dex a few more times and get a few more Gutsman chips. This is where I realized it's kind of unbalanced. 1/10 of my folder right now is Gutsman chips. That's crazy. We can only put 5 Navi chips in our folder though. Talking to Yai, she tells us that a kid from the other class is missing, and it may be related to the water. That's a big leap in logic. He could be staying home or something. Do you know Chekhov's gun? If someone talks about or brings attention to something, it's most likely going to come back later in the story. Class starts and Miss Mari notifies us that the water has been shut down for the entire town. And because of that, class is cancelled. After class is dismissed, she also mentions that all products containing water has either been stolen or bought out. So this definitely smells like a World 3 scheme. Right outside the school, there's a car parked on the sidewalk. Kinda suspicious. Right next to the car is a new store. Higsby opened a new chip shop. There, we can trade 3 or 10 chips into a better chip. We can also fight Numberman again. Walking by the park, the fountain has no water either. So let's head to the water plant. It's the same building as the lab. At the station, we get an email from Yai. She tells us that the missing kid was actually kidnapped, and to keep an eye out for him. At the water plant, we meet, there's like a few different ways to say this. It's spelled C-H-A-U-D. It's supposed to sound like show, but in the show, his name is pronounced as Chod. I know it sounds weird, but it's what I grew up with, so I'm sticking with that one. He's so cool. He's an official net battler, so he's part of the government, which means he can net battle anywhere he wants. But aren't we doing that already? Have we been breaking the law this whole time? He seems to be investigating the water problem, like us, but more official. We need to follow him, but to use the elevator, we need an ID card. I remember our absent father's coat had a name tag on it. Would that be it? Yep, we grab the ID and head up to the water pump. Here, we meet Dr. Freud, and he tells us that there's a bug in the water program, but it should be fixed soon. Instead of asking how we got up here, he just asks us to take a tour. So that means that he knows we shouldn't be up here, but he doesn't care. Heading back down, Megaman says that it's pretty strange for an official net battler to be here, just for a bug. So it may be more than it seems. We decide to hide out for the night. The best spot would be our dad's lab, since he's never there. At midnight, after everyone leaves, we head back up to the water pump. We try jacking in, but a strange woman interrupts us. Does she look like an employee to you? She looks more like a junkie. She tells us to go home and walks away. As soon as she leaves, we jack in. Megaman finds that the water systems have been frozen over. Here, we have our third dungeon. The puzzles are the ice. We slide right across them. Once again, like in Pokemon. There are also these water faucets blocking the way with water. We have to navigate the area and turn them off. Running water onto the ice also melts it, so we have to turn on faucets as well. Further in, we meet a red Navi, who appears to be the World 3 Navi that we are looking for. He swings and misses with a sword. This is Proto Man, Chod's Navi. Chod tells us not to get in his way, and threatens to delete Megaman. If only we had a backup of Megaman, that threat would mean nothing to us. He tells us to be careful of World 3 agents, and leaves. I don't know why, but this line makes me laugh my ass off. It can easily be taken out of context. Along the way, we meet this weird-looking Navi. They look nothing like a water plant Navi. And he tells us not to go behind him, since it's a dead end. I'm gonna do exactly the opposite. Okay, never mind. The Navi wasn't kidding. There is a broken water faucet though, so if I were to guess, I would say he broke it. I was gonna say that the viruses in this dungeon aren't that annoying. Then, I was reminded of a fear I've forgotten for an hour now. Ghosts. We find the cause of the ice, and it's these two polar bear viruses. That feels kind of anticlimactic, since there was no actual boss this time. The water gets turned back on, but something doesn't feel right. The same music is still playing. Back in AC/DC town, the water has turned into grape soda. Or poison. This thirsty guy wanders in and chugs it. We're about to find out whether this is actually grape soda or poison. It's poison. Did we just kill someone? Chad calls us and he is pissed. Apparently the ice program was there for a reason. The real problem was the poisoned water. He tells us to stay out of his way and hangs up. How'd he even get our number though? Lan right away says that we have to go back and get in Chad's way. Before leaving, we pull the dead guy out of the fountain. Okay, real talk. Would you rather drink dirty water or your own piss? I never thought about it, but I'm kinda leaning towards piss. Otherwise, we might end up like this guy. Yai sends us another message, and apparently, the missing kid's last name is Freud. Freud. That's the name of the guy in the water plant earlier. If I were to put two and two together, I'm guessing he's being blackmailed. Oh, Megaman pretty much tells us the same thing right after. If we find the kid, we can get Dr. Freud to stop helping World 3. Remember that car from earlier? We find the kid in the car, and he gives us the handle program. Why does he have that though? He also gives us a message to prove that he's safe. I'm pretty sure I know exactly where to use the handle program, so let's head back to the water plant. Jacking back in, all the faucets from before seem to be turned back on. Oh, I guess we have to close them all again. We get back to where we saw that weird Navi, and we are able to use that broken faucet that we couldn't use last time. The Stoneman chip we got from earlier is such a gamble. It has the potential to do 300 damage on a virus or a Navi, but it also has the potential to do 0 damage if it misses all 3 times. High risk, high reward though, so that makes sense. If we had a chip that's guaranteed to do 300 damage and not miss, that'd be pretty unbalanced. Eventually, we get to this giant square of ice, filled with holes. It took me way too many tries to figure out the right path. Whenever we fall in the wrong place, we have to go all the way back and try again. An upgrade can be found here, maxing out our Mega Buster to level 5. And I gotta say, it's good. Proto Man is right about to delete Dr. Freud's net Navi, Iceman. Fortunately, we get there just in time to let them know that Dr. Freud isn't the World 3 agent. Chad doesn't believe us until HQ calls him, letting him know that the real World 3 agent is somewhere else in the building. Chad, disappointed that he can't kill Iceman, leaves. And Lan decides that he wants to fight Iceman first before telling him about his son. That's so stupid. But I guess we need a Navi for the boss fight. Couldn't we have fought that weird Navi from earlier? In this fight, Iceman seems to only have 2 moves. He puts ice blocks in the front 3 squares, then throws a bomb at us. Despite the fact that I figured out the pattern, I still got my ass handed to me. A busting level of 1? My parents are gonna beat my ass like a drum. I just couldn't dodge the ice bombs. Anyway, after subduing Iceman, Lan finally decides to tell Dr. Freud that his son is safe. Dr. Freud thanks us, and Iceman sucks the ice back in his body. You can do that? Proto Man caught up to the World 3 Navi. It turns out it's the Navi we met earlier. So now I'm really confused as to why we didn't just fight this guy as a boss. This Navi stole the Aqua program, and I have no idea what that is. This Navi, like Fireman earlier, reveals that their name is Colorman, and his operator is Mad, with 2 Ds. Then pieces out. We reunite Dr. Freud with his son. I wonder whose car this is. Did World 3 use their own car? Or did they GTA someone and shove a kid in there? Dr. Freud tells us that the Aqua program is used to make water taste good, so he's not really sure what World 3 wants with it. Everything is back to normal again, except we still don't know what World 3 wants with the stolen programs. We are then shown a World 3 meeting, and Dr. Wily is pissed since his plans have been failing lately. Mad and Mr. Match name drops Lan and Megaman, and Dr. Wily gets even more pissed that they've been beaten by a random kid. We are finally given a hint of what the World 3 wants with the 4 super programs. Something called the Life Virus. But no further clues are given for now. We go back to Lan and Megaman. Roll drops by with a message from Melu. Yai's birthday is coming up, and she wants to buy a gift for her together. We send Megaman back to Roll with a reply, and we decide to meet in front of the train station. Leaving the house, Dr. Ford messages us that he added our name to an official NetBattlers mailing list. It's where official NetBattlers share tips with each other, so hopefully we'll get some useful information from this. Going to Melu's house, we can hear her getting ready. There's also this really creepy lady that's standing right next to her window. She lets us know that Melu's parents work overseas, so that explains why she lives alone. We get to the train station, and it seems like Melu isn't here. On our way out, Melu arrives and says that she has to give something to her grandmother, and leaves. Dropping by Yai's house, she just casually mentions that she likes collecting antiques. So I guess we know what to get her now. The new area that we're going to is called Dentown. It sounds like a place where you go to buy new teeth or something. Arriving there, Melu sends us a message. She's taking a bus to us right now, and she also gives us an upgraded roll chip for ditching us. Exploring Dentown is actually hell. This place makes no sense, or too much sense. You have to actually wait for the lights to turn green to cross the streets, or use underground pathways. Okay, I got lost for a while here. Looking at this dead end here, would you think that this would lead to a whole other area? To preface this, these are the other street corners. All dead ends. Watch this. How the hell were you supposed to know that this leads somewhere else? It's like platform 9 3/4 from Harry Potter. You run at what looks like a dead end and appear on the other side. On the other end, we get a message from the mailing list. Chad talks about what happened at the water plant and is also shit-talking us. After talking to this little kid, I think I grasped the concept of what Dentown's layout is like. He says north, south, east, west would be blocks 1 to 4, so the layout must be like a plus sign. The thing is, what the hell is north? The game's axis is tilted. North could mean northeast or northwest. This place is giving me an aneurysm. At the very least, we know there are 5 areas in total, because the middle counts too. In a random building, I think in block 4, we meet a lady who looks a lot like our teacher, Miss Mari. Apparently her name is Yuri, and she's Miss Mari's twin. She asks if Lan is also a twin. Lan says no, but this is gonna come up in like 5 games later. After a lot of running around, we find the antique shop. Here, we meet Miu. She talks a lot about souls and spirits. I had to make sure that I didn't walk into a weed dispensary by mistake. Without any provocation, Megaman randomly asks if we want to net battle her. Sure. Here, we battle Skullman. He constantly blasts halitosis down the middle row of squares. I feel like I'm playing Frogger. Eventually, he starts throwing blades down the sides too. He wasn't that hard, but at the same time, I feel like I kinda overleveled Megaman with upgrades. After beating her, we find this big vase that we can jack into. Apparently it's an air purifier. It keeps other antiques safe from humidity and pollutants, so it helps antiques while looking like an antique. It sounds like a pretty good gift, but it sounds pretty expensive too. We can also jack into it. Inside, we find this virus that actually deleted me. It 2-shots you with fire. That's insane. I even made sure to take off the wood armor and still got 2-shotted. I guess Megaman isn't overleveled after all. Megaman currently has 380 HP. To 2-shot us, they have to be doing at least 190 per hit. A strategy that I found that works is to just stay in the back, dodge the fire, and shoot them once or twice at a time. It took like a minute to delete them, but we still got a level 7 for busting, so even the game knows it's a tough fight. Talking to Miyu again, she lets us know that she's not actually open for business yet. What? So why is the door open? And why is she just standing behind the counter? We leave and head towards, I think, block 1. Suddenly, all the traffic lights turn green, and the cars start smashing against each other. Luckily, the cars in Dentown are self-driving. It's disappointing, but no one's dying here. We get an email from Mad, saying that they are selling a fix for 1 million zennies for each car. I don't know what the conversion rate for a zenny is, but assuming it's close to the Japanese yen, that's 7,500 USD. So it's not that bad, but you can literally just buy a used car for that amount. People start flocking to World 3 in droves. Lan decides to jack into the traffic light and see what's wrong. Here, we're introduced to the fourth dungeon, a traffic light. Since there are 4 blocks, there are 4 separate mini-dungeons instead of one big one. The puzzle in this dungeon is to hit these switches. When you walk past them, they change colors. Whatever color is lit up is the path you can walk on, and the color that's dimmed are the ones that you can't walk on. I thought this puzzle was pretty fitting for a traffic light. The music in this dungeon reminds me of those weird sounds that a cat would make sometimes. We fix the first traffic light and make our way to Mad to tell everyone that the cars are fixed now. The group gets dispersed. Mad gets pissed and tells Lan that she hacked into Lan's PC and downloaded his Google search history. She threatens to leak it and implies that someone we love will get hurt. We get a phone call. It's Meilu and her bus has been hacked and won't stop moving. So now we rush towards the second traffic light to see if we can stop the bus. Honestly, if I didn't make that little portion about the layout of Dentown, I would have been completely lost. We find the second light and jack in. The viruses we face so far are pretty easy. There is this one jellyfish-looking thing that seems to be constantly charging up for something. I'll never know what it is since I delete it before it's done. You know what? I'll let it do its thing and see what happens.
1 minute later.
It sends a tidal wave at you and does 200 damage. We fixed the traffic light, but we were a little too late. The bus charges right through, so we have to rush to the next one. On our way there, Mad calls us. She calls us Charlie. What? Is that a reference? She lets us know that she's behind the bus going apeshit, but that's not all. The virus she uploaded makes gas go backwards, and that will eventually make the bus blow up. Is that a real thing? Hold on. I'm gonna say no. We fix the third traffic light and the bus slows down just a little bit. I'm hoping that the next traffic light that we deal with is the last one. The dungeons are a breath of fresh air, not being a maze for once, but 4 different ones is kinda killing me. The fourth light gets fixed and the bus slows down a lot more. It's still moving though, so there's a 5th traffic light. There may be 4 blocks, but the 5th area is the center. Oh god, jack in. I'm gonna be so tired of saying jack in by the end of this video. While battling some viruses, I accidentally did something really cool. Remember when I was explaining the battle mechanics and there was this one last thing I didn't talk about? Well, that's the Program Advanced. It's where you combine 3 specific chips and they become this super powerful chip. Even in the TV show back then, seeing Megaman use it was the coolest thing ever. Getting to do it myself is even more cool. However, I did this completely by accident, so it caught me off guard and I ended up missing a few times. We managed to completely stop the bus. Mad calls us and says that the bus should blow any second now. However, Colorman is being hindered by Roll. Wait, if the bus blows up, won't Colorman be deleted? Oh wait, I forgot Lan's the only one who doesn't back up his Navi. Oh god. Jack in to the bus. The first thing Megaman asks when jacked in is, Roll, where are you? If you took even half a second to look 8 feet in front of you, you can see Roll and Colorman. What are they doing? It looks kinda messed up. Here we finally battle Colorman. What the hell are those? These 2 things are basically just shields for Colorman. The red one blasts fire at you whenever it feels like it, and the blue one shoots water. If you look at my current hand, you may be able to deduce that I am having a bad time. At some point, Colorman starts bouncing a white ball in our area, so now, while we dodge the fire and water, we also have to be wary of the ball. Colorman gets deleted, and once again, Lan saves the day. Roll calls Megaman Mega. I guess they are on a first name basis then. What's Roll's full name? Rollman? Lan gets a cute reunion with Meilu, and gets cooties when Meilu gets a little closer than usual. Lan doesn't know what's going on, while Megaman and Roll both call him Dense. Everything's back to normal again, and everyone's happy. Wait, didn't World 3 want to steal some super programs and create some life virus? How is that related to blowing up a bus? We are shown another World 3 meeting, and Wily is even more pissed than before. So next he is sending Count Zap to perform the next scheme. I wonder what everyone else does while one person is scheming. They probably have an easier time achieving their goal if they work together or something. A few days later, Lan is invited to dinner at the Scilab by his father. He tells us to invite our mom too. Will we finally see our elusive father after all this time? Or will something come up again? We get an email, and the people in the mailing list are talking about the mysterious operator that fixed the traffic lights. They know it's not one of them, so you can imagine Chad knowing it's most likely us and ripping his hair out since everyone is praising us. Dropping by Yai's house, I have no idea what we ended up getting her, since I don't see anything new in her house. She thanks us for the gift and casually slips us 10,000 zennies. Anyway, we go home and tell her mom the news. She's happy and goes to get ready, and Lan says that he's gonna head out first, since his mom always takes forever to get ready. Megaman points out that Lan's just being tsundere, and that Lan actually just wants to see his dad. At the Scilab, there seems to be a new food cart. The guy running it is named Masa. He kinda looks like a fish. Once again, Megaman unprovoked wants to challenge him to a net battle. He's just the guy that sells fish. How would he even know that Masa has a Navi? We fight Sharkman. And holy shit, why are there 3 fins? What is this? I got my ass beat. This is the second battle to delete Megaman without me intentionally dying. Okay, even though I died in like 15 seconds, I think I figured out the pattern. One of the 3 fins is the real Sharkman. If you stand in front of one of the fins for too long, it charges at you. And if you hit the right one, he comes up and shoots a water tower at you. Let's try this again with a newfound knowledge. Okay, a new lesson. Do not use steel. I don't know what that did, but it made one of the fins go apeshit. Holy shit, that was harder than my dick. We head to the Scilab. We were supposed to meet with our dad in front of the TV, but when we get there, we are greeted with Chad. He does his usual call us a kid routine and walks away. Our dad seems to be late, like always, and then he arrives. And finally, we are face to face with our dad, Dr. Yuichiro Hikari. He's famous for creating a lot of upgrades for the PET, and also the creator of Megaman. Our mother follows shortly. The fact that she has to ask how have you been spells out just how absent he is. We go downstairs together to the dinner party. At the party, we bumped into this guy that asks who that hot thing in the dress is. And Lan reluctantly tells him that's his mom. That's an Akko Taco. Chad can be found down here too. Maybe after realizing that we're the son of famous doctor and scientist Yuichiro Hikari, he'll stop antagonizing us. To be fair, we did make a pretty bad first impression. Our dad tells us that the PET he gave us, along with Megaman, is special. But before he can finish his sentence, he gets a call back up for work. God damn, that's actually so sad. Lan and his mom waited so long to see him again, and he just leaves after 5 minutes. That's a depresso espresso. After he leaves, a special guest comes up to speak. It's Count Zap. He tells his Navi to turn the power off. With the lights off, he looks like a Just Dance dancer. Since the power is off and we are underground, it's only a matter of time before the oxygen runs out. Even though we're in a room full of adults, the only one that bothers to do anything is a kid. Chad seems to be gone before us though. Looks like he's already on the case. We need to head lower to the power plant to solve the power problem. But obviously, with the power down, the elevator has stopped working too. We find this garbage chute and climb down. In the power plant, we find this maintenance monitor that we can jack into. So, we jack in. Before we jack in, the scientist right beside us tells us that that's a really bad idea. Since everything is offline right now, the PET's power supply will run out really quickly. So Megaman will be unable to heal once power reaches critical levels. You know what would have solved this problem? We won't be scared of Megaman being deleted if we back him up. So Lan's worried about Megaman being deleted. But Megaman says that if they do nothing, then everyone might die. So with no choice left, we jack in. Hey, this is Zed again, after this dungeon. And let me tell you, I was not prepared for the horrors that awaited me in this dungeon. I was stuck in this hell for an hour and a half. This is the 5th dungeon of the game, and easily one of my most hated ones. This is the equivalent of the water temple. You see that battery bar on the top right corner? If that runs out, Mega Man can no longer heal after battles. And every time you move, you can see it slowly draining away. It's gonna give you anxiety. But that's not all. There are these invisible paths that you have to walk on. But obviously, with them being invisible, you can't see them. So you have to hug the wall, hoping to find an opening. Here comes another Pokemon comparison. Imagine you're playing Pokemon, and you're stuck in a cave. No escape rope, and none of your Pokemon know Flash. And every 3 steps, you get swarmed by Zubats. Except, you can't even run! And that's not even all there is. You have to put these batteries in the right slot. But as far as I know, there are 0 indicators of where they go. When you get them in the wrong slot, you have to go back to the switch and turn it off again before you can replace the battery. The batteries can only be used twice before needing to be recharged. Some battery puzzles even require you to leave 2 batteries behind and carry one over the bridge. Then guess where that one goes, go back and grab the 2 batteries, and guess where those go. Even to get the batteries is a hard time. You have to talk to every program you see, hoping they give you the batteries. The thing is, 80% of them are infected and they attack you. I swear one of the infected programs said, "All your base are belong to us." And that's an old ass meme. So not only is this dungeon hurting me mentally, but it's hurting me emotionally too, by reminding me of my mortality. Oh, remember those rats which are worse than the ghosts? Well, they are the main enemies here. Whoever designed this dungeon probably gets turned on seeing people suffer. The only good thing about this dungeon is that I had to fight through so many viruses that I came up with so much money. I got to the point where I actually ran out of batteries. Luckily for us, while we were suffering, the scientists made some one-time use power generator, so we mashed B to recharge the PET. I think even the guy who made this dungeon knew it was impossible to finish with this amount of time given, especially for a blind playthrough. Get me out of here. There was a hidden path that was so cryptic. It was an invisible path. On an invisible path. Finally, we slogged through that dungeon. And if I could go the rest of my life never going through that again, I'd be just fine. If you for any reason want to play this dungeon, use a guide. Don't be like me. Finally, we battle Elecman. At this point, you probably think, oh, we're at the boss, it's finally over. You're wrong. The initial battle ends prematurely. We realize Elecman is rapidly healing because of the electricity. Solan shuts off the power and gets the crap shocked out of him. Elecman is weakened, and it's finally a fair fight. This fight is surprisingly easy. Elecman kind of just floats around, and every now and then he tries to shock you. During the Fireman fight, I mentioned how Megaman kept shooting him in the balls. As you can see here, it's the same situation. That's probably why he barely attacks us. We took no damage and got an S. Before he blows up, he lets us know that he successfully sent the last program needed back to Count Zap. Proto Man and Chad show up, and apparently this whole thing was bait for World 3. The stolen program wasn't real. They were gonna trap and interrogate Elecman, who we just deleted. Right when we think everything is over, there's another boss fight with Proto Man, with no save point in between. If you die here, you die in real life. I mean, you won't die, but you will have to battle Elecman all over again, so it's basically the same thing. Wait, did Proto Man just call him Lord Chad? That's so cringe. That's like setting your name as God of Cool on Siri. Anyways, we fight Proto Man, and this fight is brutal. He blocks everything we throw at him with some Proto Shield. When he feels generous, he puts it down to give us some false hope. I don't know what he did here, but I lost 400 HP in 3 seconds. I think I found a pretty good strategy on fighting Proto Man. You stay in the back and bait out his long sword, and when he comes, sidestep it, then go back and use whatever you got on him. He does his version of charging up a Mega Buster, but it's charging up his Proto Sword, and he does a side swipe. With only 80 HP remaining, I managed to kick his Proto ass. With my HP so low, I thought I'd get another level 1 busting, but we got a 5, so that means even the game knows that it's a pretty tough fight. After the battle, Proto Man asks us, how is it possible for a civilian Navi to beat him? And Megaman tells him, with the power of friendship. Holy crap, I used to think that Chad and Proto Man were really cool, but after this encounter with them, they just seem so edgy. Proto Man jacks out, but he takes Megaman's words with him. maybe he'll try to be Chod's BFF. We go back to our mom and call it a night. Dr. Wiley can be seen monologuing to himself. Check back to where I beat Fireman earlier. I called it. Apparently he has all 4 programs now. Wait, what? I thought it was fake. And when did he get the wood program? Upon further digging, the English translation was incorrect. They used the real program as bait. Anyways, he mentions getting revenge against Hikari. Who does he have beef with? Lan? Lan's dad? Or is there someone else? So many questions, and none of them answered. We go back to Lan. Our dad emails us that Chod is feeling pretty emo after we beat him. He would like us to cheer him up. Well, maybe this will show Chod in a better light. So far, he's just been calling us kid and being edgy. Holy crap, look at how much money we got from that dungeon. Before heading to the Scilab, I got sidetracked really hard looking for a shop to spend our money on. I got very lost and ended up in some really weird area. In the end, I got even more money and powerful chips, like 10 M-Cannon chips. They do 120 damage each. Our dad said Chod is at the Scilab. When we get there, a scientist tells us that he is drowning his pain away in Dentown. There, we find Chod harassing women. When we confront him, he tells us he's looking for access to the Undernet. He doesn't want our help and storms off. This guy's so tsundere. Now we have to look for a World 3 member. Asking Megaman for a hint, he gives us the least helpful help I've ever seen in my whole life. His only hint is that guy. That's so vague. I mean, if you think about it, it's not hard to figure out who we're looking for and where they are, but shouldn't a hint be helpful? Anyways, the person that we're looking for is Higsby. So we need to head to the shop to see if he knows anything. At the shop, Higsby gives us a code and tells us to head towards Dentown in the net. What? What does that even mean? This is what I meant by the internet looks the same. You actually have no idea where you are at any given time. If I were to show you a screenshot of Megaman standing here, you would have no idea what area of the internet this is. I'm the one who took the screenshot and I don't even know where this is. I did end up finding maps online, but I'd like to keep my experience as blind as possible. So, time to wander. If we think about it, the first zone is AC/DC Town, which is where we live. Zone 2 is connected to the metro station, and from Zone 2, we get access to Zone 3. Zone 3, I think, is the Scilab. Would it be a fair assumption if we think that Zone 3 would connect to Zone 4, which is Dentown? If you said yes, you, like I, would be wrong. Since Zone 2 is the metro station, it actually acts as a hub for Zone 3 and 4. So Zone 4, Dentown, is accessed through Zone 2. And here, we find the door to the Undernet. You know, I made that same spelling mistake when I was in grade 11. I still cringe every now and then, since it was being displayed. Anyways, we use the code, and we are greeted with a battle. Is that a Metal Gear? What the hell is this? I've got enough HP that I can take a lot of hits, but this looks ridiculous. I literally can't move. We beat the viruses and head in. I thought this was gonna look a lot spookier and darker, but this looks exactly the same as the normal internet. As soon as we get in, Higsby emails us that there are 3 doors to get past, but we need the passcodes from someone in the Scilab. Oh god, that means I have to come all the way back here. I wish I could just leave Megaman plugged in while Lan goes by himself. Why couldn't Higsby tell us this before we came here? So we find the guy and he looks just like every other scientist. At least with Chod and Higsby, they stand out, but it gets worse. He tells us he only has the first password, and there are 2 more passwords with 2 other ex-members of World 3. A young woman and an old man. I have a feeling they're gonna be generic NPCs as well. They can be anywhere. This is gonna be like, Where's Waldo or Where's Wale if you're anywhere outside of North America. Except, instead of wearing his usual outfit, he's dressed like everyone else. After speaking to every female under the age of 30, we finally find her, and you're not gonna believe who it was. I was wrong though, she's not a generic NPC. The woman that we ran around everywhere looking for was Miss Mari's twin, Miss Yuri. Maybe that's like a play on words for mystery. Okay, let's look for the elderly man now. They can't be a generic NPC, right? Miss Yuri wasn't one. Who could it be? Old dude that's not generic. So long story short, it was a generic old dude. Their house is actually right across from ours. With all the codes, we can now break into the World 3 network. Good thing I left the back door open in Miyu's PC. It takes us straight back to Dentown, and from there, we go back to the Undernet. We use the codes and get through the 3 areas. Here, we meet this bullshit-ass virus, this hammer statue guy. Any chip you use on him when he's hard only does 1 damage. When he reaches the front squares, he gets soft for a few seconds and hits us with an undodgeable attack. Only then will your attacks do more than 1 damage. It feels kind of unfair, since if you tried, you can come out most battles unscathed. With this guy, there's an 80% chance you're gonna get hit, unless you have a chip that does 120 damage or more as soon as he gets soft. So that also assumes that you're fighting only this virus and nothing else. In the second area, I don't know if my game was bugged or something, but I ended up fighting Elecman 3 times in a row. At the very end, we meet this area's boss, Bomb Man. There's not a lot to him. He basically just says, let's fight, and we start battling. His tactics are pretty weird. He lays bombs on his squares, and he starts going FIFA on our ass. Other than trying to shoot the bombs before he kicks them at us, and dodging the bombs' explosions, there's not much else to this fight. Now that I think about it, Bomb Man. Bombs with explosions in plus shapes. Is this guy a Bomberman reference? I somehow ended up trapping him in a corner, so I just unloaded on him. We beat him and get the World 3 Network's address. But before dying, Bomb Man's like, do you know why they call me Bomb Man? And he freaking blows himself up, along with the World 3 Network. You can say he went out with a bang. Literally. With the way to the World 3 Network closed off, Lan suggests that we go to his dad for help. If your 11-year-old child comes up to you, asking you to help them access the terrorist group's network, I don't think your answer will be yes. It'd make more sense giving it to Chad. He'd probably be happy getting it. Wasn't that the whole point of today's adventure? To cheer him up? We head to our dad. He's actually at the lab for once. Telling him everything, he, like I would, tells Lan no. Eventually, we convince him to say yes. He says, cool, he will send it to us when it's ready. I know he would have to say yes no matter what, since we most likely stop World 3 in this game, but I appreciate that he straight up initially says no, and that it's dangerous first. We go home and await the email. As the previous chapter is the most frustrating, this chapter is definitely the most boring. All we did was run around looking for people, run around the net, and fight one boss. The other chapters had us in way more interesting situations. So far, we had arson, grooming, poisoned our water supply, runaway bus, and oxygen deprivation. For this chapter, it kind of feels like a what if nothing crazy happened today chapter, which is a breath of fresh air, but it could have been something other than Find X, like maybe a day hanging out with your friends or something. We are then shown another World 3 meeting. They are aware that Scilab has their address now, but it no longer matters. Wily combines the Infinity Stones and creates the Life Virus. I still have no idea what it does. He mentions it deleting everything. We get the email from our dad of the location of World 3's lab. Apparently, it's hidden in the mountains, and there are no conventional ways of getting there. He implies that there might be a secret passage somewhere. Asking Megaman for a hint, he once again avoids using Higsby's name for some reason. Is he like Voldemort or something? It's pretty apparent he's making a great effort to not say his name. Leaving our room, Wily announces his plan to the world. Why? Wouldn't keeping his mouth shut significantly raise his chance of success? Now people are gonna try stopping him. His plan is to initiate the endgame, and that's been brought up a couple times now by World 3 members so far. But I still have no idea what that is. From what I can understand, he's gonna put the life virus in a rocket, and the rocket's gonna hack some satellites, and that will somehow make the endgame delete the world. On our way to Higsby's, we bump into Chad. He says that, even though it's a bad time, he wants to teach us a lesson. We end up rocking his shit, and it seems like he still hasn't tried using the power of friendship yet. This guy's actually so cringe. Was he like this in the anime? When we get to the store, Higsby is nowhere to be seen. However, it seems like he left us a parting gift. A World 3 pass. It's a Metro card, but it seems to be expired. This might be for the secret passage. I spent 15 minutes running around everywhere looking for where to go, but in the end, it was just behind the school fountain. Right before we head down, Meilu sees us and wonders what we're doing, even though 10 minutes ago I talked to her in her house and she knew that we were gonna take on World 3. At the secret metro, the World 3 pass we have is expired, and Lan can't get past the gate. You know you can just hop over the gate, right? An alarm goes off, so we run back up. We head to the Scilab and see if our dad can help us. In the lab, our dad resets the pass and it works again. If I were the dad, I would have came too. Probably with the police. Speaking of police, so many incidents happen in this game, but I've never seen one sign of an existing police force. Maybe they don't exist in this world. We hop on the train and head towards the lab. Our mom calls our dad, saying that she's worried about us. Our dad says not to worry. He won't let what happened last time happen again. I know this gets touched on a little bit in the 6th game, but it's been over a decade, so my memory's kind of fuzzy. I'm pretty curious what he's referring to. A colleague then informs Dr. Hikari that we're dealing with the life virus. Our dad seems worried, saying that Lan and Hub don't stand a chance. Who the heck is Hub? We arrive at the World 3 lab. Huh. More grape soda. Heading in, we find Higsby, Yuri, and the old dude, all tied up. Were they kidnapped for giving us the codes? I wonder why they just left them there. Eventually, a door blocks our path, and Megaman has to open it from the inside. It looks a lot like the oven dungeon. This is where I realized that this is the last dungeon. And the puzzle? Every puzzle we've dealt with in the story so far. That's pretty cool. It makes you look back at all the other dungeons we've been through so far, and it feels like this is the final test that you've been preparing for the whole game. At the end of every section, there's an obstacle. Some legitimate, and some not so legitimate. Just jump over it. And everyone we met along our journey comes and helps us, just like we did for them. When Yai and Glide first came to the rescue, my jaw dropped. I've gotten so used to doing everything on our own that I'm genuinely surprised that we were getting assistance for once. Numberman helps us decode the password in the number dungeon. Iceman sucks the ice back in again in the ice dungeon. Dex and Gutsman smash a boulder blocking our way. And by now, it's pretty evident that Meilu's most likely assembled everyone to help us. Wait, that last dungeon was the traffic puzzle. Oh no, that means the next one is gonna be... At least, there's no battery guessing game this time. At the end of this one, Meilu and Roll come in with a helping hand. Lan and Meilu are having a moment. She explains that she saw us going down the secret tunnel and decided to gather everyone to help out. A Navi jacks in, and we are introduced to the last member of World 3, Yahoot, Wily's right-hand man, and his Navi, Magic Man. And we get in the battle. What the hell are those? Right away, we notice 3 weird circles on his side. He randomly summons viruses out of those circles while using the same halitosis attack as Skullman. For the first time ever, I was happy to see a ghost. The other viruses fling so much shit at you, but the ghost is usually just running away all the time. We beat him, but Dr. Wily injects Magic Man with some life virus steroids. The now roid-raged Magic Man knocks out Mega Man, leaving Roll to fend for herself. Suddenly, Proto Man comes out of nowhere, and our ass is saved. This part actually made my jaw drop again. I didn't expect Chad of all people to save us. Mega Man's down for the count, but Chad brought a strange program with him, hub.batch. Wait, how did Chad and Meilu jack in right next to Lan without him noticing? Anyway, Hub. Isn't that the name that our dad mentioned earlier? We then get a call from Dr. Hikari. He tells us that the hub.batch file can save Mega Man. But before that, he reveals that the reason why Mega Man is special is because he was created partially with the DNA of our dead twin brother, Hub. So Mega Man's DNA is basically 99.9% our twin brothers. Mega Man has known this whole time, and Dr. Hikari told him to keep it a secret from Lan. If Lan knew the origins of Mega Man, he'd be too scared to use them. Lan uses the hub.batch file on Mega Man, and Mega Man comes back to life. With Mega Man fixed, we confront Dr. Wily at the rocket. Wily finally tells us why he's doing what he's doing. He used to be a researcher along with our grandfather. Wily researched robots while our grandfather researched networks. In the end, there was only enough money for one research to shine. Dr. Hikari Sr.'s was chosen, and Dr. Wily's life's work gets thrown away. Ever since then, Dr. Wily has vowed to take revenge on Dr. Hikari by deleting the world that he created. We jack into the rocket. Lan and everyone probably could have just climbed up and physically beat up Dr. Wily, but I guess everything is digital these days, even fights. So here's the last dungeon. It's just a straight line. Holy crap, Mega Man shoots so fast now. I guess this is no longer the power of friendship, but it's the power of friendship combined with brotherhood. At the end, we finally battle the life virus. What the hell is that? And that, finally seeing the life virus, it's kinda cool, but more cool than menacing for sure. Why is it even called a life virus? In the fight, he's always constantly charging up either a beam attack or a beam sword attack. While he is charging, he summons 1 or 2 Zergs that shoot elemental attacks. The Zergs are arguably the biggest threat in this fight. As soon as he fires whatever he's charging for, he's open to attacks for the next couple of seconds. The thing is, his attacks only damage either the middle row or the first 2 columns, meaning he can't even touch you if you just camp in the corner and wait for him to attack first. I still can't wrap my head around the upgraded Mega Man. He's basically maxed up the Mega Buster, and it feels so overpowered. Later on, the Life Virus attacks us with a meteor. It sends a wave down your squares. It's pretty hard, but if you get the timing right, you can actually dodge them. We delete the Life Virus, and Wily's like, "Oh my Life Virus." As if he didn't just stand there for 10 minutes watching you jack into the rocket and delete it without stopping you. The lab self-destruct sequence goes off, and we escape with everyone. Everyone but Wily. He chose to go with the lab, and perishes in the explosion. Back at home, everyone is celebrating. Meilu comments on how Lan's parents really get along and that they could learn from them. Dude, she's like 12. Why is she so thirsty for Lan? Lan proceeds by being oblivious as always and friend zones her. Yai and Dex start making it super obvious to Lan that Meilu wants him, and Meilu finally admits it too. Lan, finally realizing that Meilu likes him, continues to be tsundere. Cha joins in on the fun too, and it's a happy ending. It's a very feel-good ending. I was smiling the whole time while reading the ending dialogue. I did think the final section was a bit short though. There's like 3 floors to the lab, but only 1 actual room. That's a really strange secret layer. The Life Virus battle was pretty easy, especially with the roided up Mega Man. By far the hardest fight in my opinion was Sharkman. That fight's so wild, even if you know the pattern. While the easiest fights off the top of my head are Fireman, Elecman, and Protoman. In the end, even though the gameplay was a bit janky and the story is super predictable and generic, the thing that makes Battle Network shine are the characters. Each character has their own charming personality, and that helps to make this world feel a bit more real. Speaking of world building, that's what this game is for, to basically set the stage for the rest of the games that came after it. I am not kidding about the jank though, especially for the Elecman dungeon. I've beaten the original Witcher game twice. That's my honorary I can handle janky games badge. And that Elecman dungeon was more frustrating than anything I've dealt with in that game. Ironically, even though Capcom wanted to create a game where strategy matters more than brute force, I found myself brute forcing a lot of fights. After getting a certain amount of HP, you can make more mistakes without being punished. And in turn, you can just mash B and dump your Mega Buster into whatever blocks your way. The fact that your HP regenerates after every fight doesn't help either. Halfway through the game, I found out that there's a remake of the first game on the DS. It's only available in Japanese, but there is an English patch for it. It has a lot of quality life updates, like being able to run, less random encounters. The Elecman dungeon has visible guidelines on the invisible paths, and infinite battery charges. What the fuck? Basically, all the complaints I had mechanic-wise have been fixed. If you ever plan on playing this game, assuming they don't use this updated version of the game for the Legacy Collection, this is probably the best way to experience the first Battle Network. Unless you're a masochist, like me. All in all, if this is your first Battle Network game, it may turn you off from the rest with the amount of jank it has. I, fortunately, started off with the 5th game, and thought it was amazing, so I know how good the series got eventually. If you played this game and liked it, that means you most likely will have a good time with the other games too. If I ever decide to play this game again, I'm for sure playing the DS version. I can't even look at batteries right now without getting PTSD. If you got this far into the video, I hope you enjoyed it. If I was able to make you laugh at least once, please leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe. I plan on doing videos on the other Battle Network games eventually, but I'll probably alternate games so I don't get burnt out playing Battle Network. Thanks for watching.